When I first met Pat, it was on Instagram, and he hit me up, and I see his list of books that he's got on his story. And I started messaging about the books that I liked. And I think I saw this book, Gary V's Crushing It. And I was like, ooh, that's on the list I need to read about. And then when we officially met, you're like, you haven't read Crushing It yet? And I was just kind of caught off guard. It seemed like you brought it up as a way to get me into social media, but then I found the Voice First section.
So this is sort of a long time coming. I've known Patrick for almost a year, except only have we been close this past 2-3 months. He started a business 5 months ago called Voice First, which is coincidentally the last chapter of Crushing It. I can't say that. That would completely ruin the book, wouldn't it?
The name of a chapter title? Absolutely not.
Okay, that's fair. It all builds up to that, and he's starting a business called Voice First. The last chapter is Voice First, but I hold out actually telling him that the last chapter of this book is Voice First until putting it in his hands and getting to watch the reaction. It was great because it made you realize that someone who has predicted the internet, predicted the takeoff of social media, sees voice as a space for the future.
And now after reading that, it helps me to understand that from a leader's perspective, why voice is going to take off. 2 biggest reasons: saves people time, which is major. Time is people's most valuable asset right now. When social media people are on, when Gary Vee is talking about hacking attention, he realizes that everything that he puts out is going to get millions of views and tens of thousands of comments. That's massive clout that he can then transfer into any industry where he says, hey, you want social media? Well, I am currently killing it, so I can sell my services to you. That's just one of the many ways that he's able to do that. Voice First platforms are going to allow us to fill our brains during all the interstices of our lives. Those blips of time that used to be lost to forgettable activities. Like when we're sitting at a traffic light, to be able to ask Alexa, what's the weather? To be able to ask, hey Alexa, transfer $50 from my checking account to my savings account. Or all of these tiny little ways that you can interact with Alexa to get some news.
In the same way that a bank would have an app on your cell phone, and they developed them at varying times. Certain people were creating apps for their bank right as the app store opened. Other people waited a few years. It's going to be the same for voice. And the people that start earlier are going to get way further ahead because they're going to have so much more data on what people are saying and what they want to do with the tools that they'll have already collected more than the other people will be able to in total.
And Voice First is one of the many platforms Gary talked about in Crushing It. Voice First was the last one, and it feels a lot different from the other platforms he talked about, but in reality,
it's the biggest prediction. It says all the other things are already established, and